Jace Wilder had always been good with machines, from the time he was a child on Earth. He loved opening things up: old radios, broken fans, even his father's flying drone. He didn't care much for school, but when it came to wires, engines, or sparks, he knew exactly what to do. Now, at 30 years old, he was working in space. The stars outside the window of the shuttle looked like dust on black glass. His boots made a dull sound as he walked across the steel floor of Dock 9. A voice came from his comms device. Jace Wilder, please proceed to Bay 47. The Velsher awaits you. Jace raised an eyebrow. Velsher? That was no human ship. That was Alari. The Alari were tall, smooth-skinned aliens with bright eyes and long, graceful fingers. They were known for their beautiful ships, soft voices, and strange customs. Most humans had never seen one up close, and now Jace had been asked to fix their ship. As he approached Bay 47, he saw it, a sleek silver ship floating just above the deck. Its surface glowed with soft blue lines that moved like water. The ship looked alive, almost like it was breathing. He walked up the ramp slowly. At the top stood a woman, not human, but Alari. She wore a form-fitting silver uniform with symbols glowing faintly on the sleeves. Her skin was pale lavender, and her large teal eyes blinked slowly as she looked at him. Welcome, Jace Wilder, she said in perfect English, though her voice had a soft, singing tone. I am Commander Sorry. Thank you for coming, Jace. Scratched the back of his neck. No problem. Engine report said instability in the quantum drive. She nodded. We do not understand the cause. Our engineers failed to fix it. We believe human eyes may see something we cannot. All right, Jace said. Let's take a look. The ship's interior was unlike anything he'd seen. Instead of sharp corners and metal pipes, the halls were smooth, curved, and softly lit. Everything looked like it was grown, not built. Sorry walked beside him in silence. She watched him with quiet curiosity. Why do you walk with such noise? She asked after a moment. Jace looked down at his boots. I guess humans never learn to walk softly. I find it interesting, she said, tilting her head. It is like thunder before the storm. He chuckled. That's either a compliment or a warning. They reached the engine room. The core was glowing unevenly, pulsing too fast. Something's off. Jace muttered, stepping closer. He tapped his tablet, scanning the readings. Sorry stood back, watching. Do you understand what you are seeing? I think so, he said. The phase harmonizer's out of sync with the energy flow. It's like trying to play to songs. At the same time, she nodded, though her face showed confusion. Songs? Jace smiled. I'll fix it. Just need to adjust the pulse regulator and bypass your main filter. Might need to add a stabilizer coil from my toolkit. Sorry raised an eyebrow. Human tools will work on Alari systems. They will now, Jace said with a grin. Over the next few hours, he worked carefully, using both human and Alari tools. He asked Sorry questions about the ship's systems, and she answered each one with quiet interest. They started talking more. Is it true, she asked one time, that humans solve problems by arguing? Jace laughed. Sometimes we shout, sometimes we cry. But yeah, we don't always agree. That's how we learn. She thought about this for a moment. Alari do not cry. It is considered private, hidden. Jace looked at her. I think emotions are powerful. Even pain teaches. You as something. Sorry stared at him with unreadable eyes. You are different from what I expected. How so? You are not just fixing the ship. You are fixing with feeling. After several more checks, the engine's hum grew steady. The lights turned to cool, even blue. Jace wiped sweat from his forehead. All done, he said. Your ship should fly smooth now. Sorry stepped forward. You fixed what our best minds could not. This is rare. Jace shrugged. Just doing my job. No, she said. You did more than that. He noticed the way she was looking at him, not just with curiosity anymore, but with something else. Respect, admiration. She stepped closer. There's something I wish to show you, she said. Okay, Jace replied, unsure. She touched a panel on the wall, and a hidden door slid open. Inside was a small room with soft white light and a round table in the center. "This is a place of thanks," she said. "In Alari culture, we show our trust here. I hope you will not be alarmed." Before Jace could ask what she meant, Sari gently removed her silver gloves and placed them on the table. Then, slowly, she unfastened the top part of her uniform. Letting it fall slightly from her shoulders, Jace took a step back, wide-eyed. "Ho! What are you doing?" Sari looked at him calmly. "This is a gesture of trust, a shedding of titles. We do not see this as strange. I hope it does not offend you." Jace blinked. No offense. I just didn't expect it." Sari gave a soft smile. "Then we are learning." As the door closed behind them, the engine thrummed softly in the distance. Two beings from different worlds stood together, separated by species, but connected by understanding. And this was just the beginning. The room was quiet. Sari stood calmly, her outer uniform resting neatly on the table. She wasn't completely undressed. Her inner layer still covered her body from shoulders to ankles. But the way she carried herself made the moment feel serious, almost sacred. "I still don't understand," Jace said, rubbing the back of his neck. Sari stepped forward slowly. Her voice was soft, like wind moving through leaves, an Alari tradition. "We remove the outer layer to show truth. It means we stand without position, without power, just as we are." Jace looked at her eyes. They weren't teasing. She wasn't trying to confuse him. She was simply sharing something important to her culture. Still, it felt strange to him. "Not bad, just unfamiliar. And you do this with everyone?" He asked carefully. "No," she replied. "Only with those we wish to understand better." Jace gave a small nod. "I get it now. Thanks for trusting me." She tilted her head, like she was studying him again. "Trust is rare in my people. We guard it like a flame. But you fixed something we could not, and you did it without showing pride." He shrugged. "Well, maybe I'm just humble because I've crashed more machines than I've fixed." She smiled at that, just a small one, but it softened her entire face. "Your honesty is strange, refreshing." They sat at the round table. A warm light came from the center, and soft music began to play. It wasn't from any speaker Jace could see. It felt like the ship was humming a song just for them. "Is this your relaxation room?" Jace asked. "It is called the Solari Chamber," Sari explained. "A place for reflection. After challenge, we sit here to think about what we've learned." Jace leaned back. "What I've learned is that your ship is way too elegant for someone like me." Sari looked confused. "You believe you are?" "Less," he smiled. "Not less, just different. Your people move like wind. We humans, we crash through doors and figure things out later." She seemed to consider his words carefully. "Maybe that is why we called you. The Alari do not crash through doors. We wait, sometimes. We wait too long." Jace stayed on the Veilshire for 2 more days to run tests and make sure the engine was truly fixed. Sari walked with him often, always asking questions. She wasn't just curious about machines. She wanted to know about Earth, about oceans, about music, about childhood and chocolate and campfires. She asked what it felt like to miss someone, or to laugh so hard your stomach hurt. "Your emotions," she said once, "they are loud, but they move the world." Jace wasn't sure what to say. No one had ever called human emotions beautiful before. One evening, they stood together near the observation deck. Outside the wide glass window, a comet passed slowly, its trail glowing, like paint across the stars. Sari broke the silence. "Do you know why I chose you?" Jace turned. "Wait, you chose me?" "Yes, I read the reports, watch the recordings. I saw a man who solved problems not with cold math, but with instinct, emotion. I needed someone who thought differently." Jace looked out at the stars. "And what did you need solving?" She took a deep breath. "Not the engine." He turned back toward her, surprised. "Then what? Our people are fading. Not in number, but in spirit. We have knowledge, but no wonder. Perfection, but no passion. The heart of Alari culture is slowing down. We do not feel like we used to." Jace listened quietly. Sari continued. "When I saw how humans explore with hope, with fire, I believed it was something we had lost. I wanted to see if maybe you could remind us." Jace was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You brought me here to fix your people, yes? And the engine problem? Real?" she said, nodding. "But also a test?" He whistled. "That's one way to interview someone." Sari gave another rare smile. "You passed." The next day, an emergency signal flashed across the ship. One of the outer sectors was hit by a sudden energy pulse. No damage, but strange readings. Jace and Sari ran to the bridge together. The crew looked calm but alert. Strange symbols blinked across the consoles. "The pulse came from Sector 8, the navigator said. "Unknown source." It lasted only 2 seconds. Jace leaned over the readings. "That's no natural pulse. This is controlled." Like a ping, Sari's eyes widened. "You believe something was trying to speak to us?" "Not speak," Jace said. "Scan." "Someone's looking at your ship from far away." A chill passed through the room. Sari turned to him. "Will you stay longer?" Jace nodded slowly. "You might need a human mechanic again." Later that night, Sari came to him as he was checking the readings again. "You are not afraid," she said. Jace looked at her. "I've been afraid plenty of times. But if someone's watching us, we watch back. That's the human way." She walked closer. "And if something more comes, then we figure it out together." Sari held his gaze for a moment longer. For the first time, she looked not like a commander, not like an alien, but just someone searching for answers. Just like him, the stars outside flickered. Something was beginning, and neither Jace nor Sari could guess how far it would go. The days on the Veilshire had been strange, but not in a bad way. Jace found himself slowly learning the rhythms of Alari life, the soft steps, the quiet voices, and the graceful gestures that said so much without words. Still, there were moments that caught him off guard, like the moment when Sari asked him to join a ceremony called the decompression ritual. At first, Jace wasn't sure what to expect. The Alari didn't often invite outsiders into their private traditions, but Sari's eyes held a serious kindness that made him say yes. The ceremony took place in a large, round room filled with gentle light. The walls curved inward, covered with soft patterns that seemed to move when you looked at them dot around. The center, several Alari stood silently, their faces calm and focused. Sari stood beside Jace, her expression unreadable. "You will see," she said softly. "This is a moment of truth and trust." Jace nodded, feeling both nervous and honored. Then, one by one, the Alari began to remove their outer garments. Jace's eyes widened. These were not just uniforms, but elegant robes, layered and delicate. Sari looked at him and spoke quietly. "In our culture, removing clothes in this ritual is not about shame or embarrassment. It is about shedding the walls we build around ourselves, our ranks, our duties, our fears. It is a way to show who we truly are." Jace swallowed. "So, it's like being honest." "Yes," she said, completely. He looked around and noticed no one was embarrassed or shy. Instead, they all stood tall and calm, showing skin that shimmered faintly in the soft light. Their bodies graceful and slender. It was beautiful, not in a way Jace had expected, but in a quiet, respectful way. It was a shared moment of vulnerability. Sari stepped closer to Jace. "Would you join us?" Jace hesitated. "Me? I don't know. I've never done anything like this." She smiled. "You do not have to be perfect. This is not about shame. It is about trust." Jace took a deep breath and slowly unzipped his jacket. He left his shirt on, but peeled off his heavy boots and gloves. The room felt warmer now, the air softer. The ritual began with slow breathing. The Alari closed their eyes and focused on their hearts. Jace followed. Trying to calm his mind, Sari whispered, "Feel your fear. Let it go." At first, Jace felt awkward. His heart pounded, and he was very aware of the skin he had revealed. But then, he felt something strange, a calm warmth, like the weight of the day lifting off his shoulders. For the first time, he understood a little of the Alari way. After a long moment, the Alari spoke in quiet voices. Their words were soft and melodic, but Jace could catch a few meanings: hope, peace, growth, and connection. Sari turned to him. This ritual is how we heal ourselves, how we remember that beneath all the roles we play, we are simple beings, with fears and dreams. Jace looked at her, feeling respect deeper than before. You have shown me much, he said quietly. Not just about your ship or your people, but about courage. She nodded. And you have shown me that humans have a strength beyond muscle or machine, a strength of heart. After the ritual, they dressed again slowly. The calmness stayed with Jace. Thank you, he said. Sari smiled. I thank you, too. The next day, Jace explored more of the ship. He found himself fascinated by the garden's small patches of glowing plants that seemed to breathe softly in the light. The plants were part of the ship's life support system, cleaning the air and providing oxygen. In one garden, Sari met him again. You should see the stars from here, she said, pointing to a wide window. Jace looked out. The universe stretched endlessly, with constellations he didn't know. It's humbling, he said. Sari nodded. We feel small here, but together we can be great. Their conversations grew deeper. Sari told Jace about the history of the Alari, their peaceful nature, their long years of exploring the stars, and their recent struggles with losing hope. Jace shared stories from Earth about humans facing disasters and still finding reasons to smile, about families and friends, and the messy, beautiful way people connect. Single quotes. Sari listened carefully. Your world is loud and chaotic, but it has color. And your world is calm and perfect, Jace said. But sometimes maybe a little too quiet. They laughed softly. That night, as Jace worked in the engine room again, Sari came to check on him. I wanted to thank you, she said, not just for fixing the engine, but for sharing your world with me. Jace looked up, surprised. You have opened my eyes, she continued. Our people need not only knowledge, but feeling. I want to help them remember that. Jace smiled, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. You're changing your people, he said. We will change together, she said, but unknown to both. Far outside the Veilshire, something watched from the shadows of space. A signal pulsed silently, a quiet warning that their journey was far from over. Jace walked through the silver corridors like a man who had become part of the ship. The crew no longer looked at him with suspicion. They nodded when he passed. Some even greeted him with small smiles. He had become more than just a mechanic. He was now something else, something more trusted. Single quotes. Sari, too, had changed. She smiled more easily and spoke more freely. Her questions were still curious, but now filled with something warmer interest, not just in knowledge, but in him, still. Behind the smiles, something waited. That night, while Jace checked the outer engine sensors, an alert blinked quietly on the control panel. Not loud, not dangerous, just odd. Unregistered signal detected. Frequency 7.9 delta. Jace frowned. He tapped the console again. The same signal appeared. He called Sari over the comms. Commander, we have a strange ping again. Same kind as before. Sari, yes. Voice came through, calm but serious. I'm on my way. Minutes later, they both stood in the engine room. The signal showed a sharp spike, then vanished again. It's coming from deep space, Jace said, pointing to the readings. It's not natural. This is someone sending a probe. A scan. Can you trace it? Sari asked. Jace shook his head. It's bouncing off nearby debris. Smart move, whoever it is. They don't want us to find them. She stared at the screen. Someone is watching. But why? Jace leaned back. I don't know. But if they're scanning this ship, maybe they're interested in more than just technology. You think it's about us? He nodded. Maybe even you? Over the next 2 days. The signal came twice more, each time stronger, each time faster. The crew started to whisper in the halls. Something was coming. Even the soft lights of the Veilshire felt dimmer. Sari called a private meeting with Jace. They sat in the observation room, looking out at a dying star in the distance. This ship was once the pride of our fleet, she said softly. Now it floats quietly, waiting for something new. Maybe even waiting for an end. Jace looked at her, his voice steady. I don't think this is your end. I think it's your beginning. But you have to face whatever's out there. She nodded, and I want you beside me when we do. That night, an emergency alarm broke the silence. Red lights flashed through the ship, doors sealed. The hum of the engine shook with tension. Jace ran to the command deck, Sari close behind him. What happened? She asked the navigator. The answer came fast. A ship is approaching. Unknown design. No response to hails. Put it on screen, Sari ordered. The screen flickered down, then showed a dark vessel, long and jagged like a predator. Its hull was black, absorbing light. No windows, no flags. Jace narrowed his eyes. That doesn't look friendly, Sari agreed. Prepare defenses. The alien ship stopped just outside scanning range. Then something unexpected happened. A small pod launched from the dark vessel and headed straight toward the Velsher, Jace. And Sari watched it in silence as it approached. It's not a weapon, Jace said after checking. No power source. No energy signature. Then what is it? He looked at her. A message, maybe. The pod was brought aboard into the containment chamber. The crew stood back as it opened with a hiss. Inside, there was no alien. No weapon. Only a strange silver cube. It pulsed with a dull light, like a slow heartbeat. Jace and Sari stepped closer. He reached out and touched the cube. Immediately, it lit up, showing symbols in the air. Floating letters. Some Alari, some unknown, some human. Jace blinked. That's English. Sari looked shocked. How do they know your language? Jace stared at the glowing words. We see you. We know your path. The choice is near. Will you become like us? Or will you fade like them? What does that mean? Sari whispered. Jace shook his head. I don't know. But they've been watching us for a long time. Later, in private, Sari sat with Jace in the quiet garden chamber. The plants glowed softly around them. She looked tired, not from fear, but from deep thought. We don't know who they are, she said. We don't know what they want. But we know they're waiting for something, Jace said. Decision, yours, maybe. She met his eyes. What if I choose wrong? Then we face the consequences together. She smiled slightly. You always say that. Because I mean it. They sat in silence for a while, letting the air move gently between them. Then Sari asked, do humans always dive into danger like this? Jace chuckled. Only when we care about what's on the other side. She looked at him for a long moment, her face soft, eyes full of questions. You may not be Alari, she said, but your heart burns like a star. Jace smiled. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Far above them, the dark ship waited. No weapons, no words, just silence and a promise that something bigger was coming. And the next time it arrived, it might not be a message. It might be a test or a war. Will you become like us, or will you fade like them? It was more than just a warning. It was a test, and time was running out. The dark ship hadn't moved. It hovered like a ghost outside the Velsher's sensor range, never responding to hails or challenges. Sari kept the ship on alert, but she didn't order any attacks. She wasn't ready to fight something she didn't understand. Jace understood that, but it didn't make waiting easier. What do they want from you? He asked her as they sat in the control room. Sari stared at the stars, her fingers wrapped tightly around her wrist. I think, she said slowly, they want to know if we are strong, or if we are still lost. She turned to him. When your people reached the stars, what did you bring with you? Jace thought about it. Hope, curiosity, and a little bit of fear. We were explorers once too, she said. But over time, we forgot how to feel. We only kept peace by removing emotion. No war, no chaos, but no courage either. And now something has found you. Something that remembers chaos very well. She nodded. And it sees you with us. A human with fire in his heart. Jace didn't know what to say to that. So he simply said, then let's not hide. Later, Sari made a decision. She called a meeting with the crew. Round her stood her officers, tall, calm, thoughtful Alari. All waited to hear her voice. She stood in the middle of the chamber, wearing her command uniform. But there was something different in her eyes now. Less distance, more feeling. The message we received, she began, was not just for me. It was for all of us. A challenge to our way of life. A warning that peace without purpose is only sleep. The crew stayed silent. Today, we choose to awaken. We will go to them. We will answer. Gasps moved through the room. A few looked uncertain, but most stayed strong. Their commander had chosen courage. The Vulture sent out a signal, a soft, peaceful tone with no threat. A request to speak. The dark ship did not answer with words. It opened a gate. Right in the middle of space, just beside the black ship, a glowing rift tore open. It looked like a wound made of light, folding in on itself. Sari stared at it, a portal. Jace's heart thumped. An invitation, or a trap, said one of the officers, or a test. Sari replied. Preparations began quickly. The engineering crew powered up the engines. Shields were raised. Navigation was set. Sari surprised Jace by giving him an official role. You will go with us, she said. Jace raised an eyebrow. Me? You sure that's a good idea? She stepped closer. I need someone who sees what I don't, someone who feels, who questions, who isn't afraid to stand up when it matters. Jace nodded slowly. Then let's find out what's waiting. The Vulture moved forward. The stars seemed to hold their breath. As the ship neared the glowing gate, lights round the hull flickered. The sensors went blind. Everything felt heavier. Jace gripped his seat. It's like space is folding around us. Sari stared at the screen. We're crossing into something else. Not space. Not time. Just between. Inside the portal. Everything changed. The stars vanished. There was no up, no down. The ship floated in a strange sea of soft lights and shifting shadows. It was quiet to quiet. Then a voice echoed through the ship. Not from speakers. Not through sound. It spoke in their minds. You are not ready, but you have come anyway. Jace winced. The voice was cold. Not cruel. Just ancient. T single quotes. Sari stood tall. We came to understand, to listen, and to speak for our people. We have watched your kind. You avoid conflict by hiding from passion. You sleep while the stars burn. The crew shifted nervously. And yet, you bring fire with you. You bring him. Jace felt a strange pressure in his head. Sari stepped forward. He is human. But he is with us. Then prove it. Suddenly, light poured into the chamber. Jace blinked and found himself alone. Not in the ship. Not even in space. Just standing on something hard, under a red sky filled with swirling smoke. Sari, he shouted. Where are you? No answer. Then a figure stepped out of the smoke. It looked almost like a human. Tall, dark, wearing something like armor made of bone and shadow. You are the bridge, the figure said. Jace clenched his fists. Bridge to what? The figure raised one hand. To their future, or their end? Back on the Vulture. Sari panicked. Where's he? She cried. The crew couldn't see Jace, couldn't feel him. He was gone. But she felt something. In her chest, a pull. He's not lost, she said. He's inside the test, and if he fails, the voice whispered, he will not return. Jace stared at the strange being. I didn't ask to be a part of this. No one does, it replied. But the ones who survive choose to be part of something greater. Jace looked down. The ground was cracking under him. He remembered Sari's words. I need someone who isn't afraid to stand up when it matters. He stepped forward. I won't let them fade. I don't care if they lost their fire, I'll help them find it again. The being tilted its head. Then it smiled just slightly. And then everything went black. Back on the ship, the portal closed. And Jace appeared falling onto the deck, gasping. Sari ran to him. You came back. He coughed and laughed. Told you I don't give up. Easy. The crew surrounded him. Then the dark ship disappeared. No explosion. No noise. Just gone. And in its place, the stars shined brighter than before. The silence after the dark ship vanished was deep. The crew of the Vulture stood on the command deck, staring at empty space. No threats, no signals. Just the stars blinking gently across the black. Sari stood beside Jace, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. She didn't say anything for a while. She just looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. You came back, she finally whispered. Jace gave her a weak smile. Wasn't sure I could. But something in me didn't want to give up. Maybe it was your voice. Maybe it was you. In the hours that followed, the crew checked every system. The ship was untouched, unharmed. It was as if nothing had happened except everything had died in the quiet meeting room. The senior officers sat with Sari and Jace. What you saw? One asked Jace, was it real? He nodded. Real enough. They weren't just watching. They were testing us. Testing you. For what? Another asked. To see if you still had something worth saving. Sari looked around at her people. We passed, not because we were strong, but because we chose not to hide. Jace added, and because you let me stand with you. Later, Sari met Jace in the ship's garden chamber. The glowing plants swayed gently, and a soft breeze moved through the air, created by the ship's life system. I used to come here when I felt nothing, she said quietly. It was a safe place, calm, still. Jace chuckled. That's not how I'd describe you anymore. She smiled. That's because of you. He looked surprised. Me? She turned to him. You reminded me what it feels like to fight for something, to care, even to fear. I thought fear was weakness, he said. No, she replied. It's a sign that we're alive. They sat together on a bench near the glowing blue tree. The silence between them was peaceful. Sari spoke softly. You know, when you first arrived, I didn't trust you. You were loud. You smiled too much. You asked questions. I still do. Yes, she smiled. But now I understand why. He leaned back. Sometimes we ask questions because we want the answers. Sometimes because we're afraid of them. She looked at him carefully. And what are you afraid of? He paused, then said, that I won't find another place like this. Or someone like you. Sari stood slowly. Her expression was serious, but her voice was soft. The crew has agreed. The test is behind us. But the journey isn't over. We will continue to explore, and we want you with us. Jace blinked. You mean stay on the Veilshire? She nodded, not just as a mechanic, as something more, a bridge between our people, a friend, an advisor. He looked into her eyes. And what about you? What do you want? Sari stepped closer, her voice almost a whisper. I want to learn how to feel again. With you beside me. The next day, the crew gathered in the central hall. Sari stood before them, wearing her formal robe. She raised her hand, and the hall fell silent. Today, she said, we begin again. Not as watchers, not as sleepers, but as travelers with purpose. She gestured toward Jace. He stepped forward, unsure of what to say, but the crew clapped lightly in a Lari-style quiet sound. Like wind through leaves. Welcome, Sari said, to our journey. As the Veilshire turned away from the strange star system, its engines hummed to life with new strength. Inside, everything felt different. Not in design, but in spirit. Jace walked through the halls, and the crew nodded with real respect now, not because of his title, but because of who he had become. He paused in the engine room, his first home on the ship. The same blinking lights, the same quiet buzz, but now it felt like it belonged to him too. That evening, he joined Sari in the observation dome. Stars stretched across the black sky like silver dust. She handed him a small cup of Alari tea, light green, smelling like fruit and fire. They drank in silence for a while. Then she asked, do you miss Earth? Jace thought about it. I miss the noise, the food, the sunlight. But no, not really. She smiled. Good, because I don't plan to take you back. He laughed. That a command, Commander? She looked into his eyes. No, it's a hope. Later, as the stars shifted in the sky and the ship moved forward, Sari stood up and walked toward the large window. Then, slowly, calmly, she reached behind and unfastened the top part of her uniform. Jace turned quickly. Sorry, wait. She smiled. It's not what you think. He peeked over his shoulder, underneath her formal robe. She wore a ceremonial robe, one only worn by Alari, who had fully accepted another being into their bond. Circle. It wasn't about romance. It was about trust. About loyalty. About unity. I'm showing you this, she said, because now you're one of us. Jace's eyes softened. Then I'll wear whatever I have to, even robes. She chuckled. You look ridiculous." They both laughed, not because of duty or fear or pressure. They laughed because something real had begun. Something powerful. And far away, across the stars. Unknown watchers saw the change and chose to turn away, for now the test was passed, and the fire still burned.